All right, we'll begin the class today in standing pose, mountain Tadasana or Samastitihi. You can separate your feet a little wider than normal. And as you're ready, forward fold down to the floor or a couple of blocks. Let your shoulders relax. You can sway your head around a little bit. Let your arms relax. Shift your weight forward a little bit towards the fronts of your feet more than the heels. And if you need a micro bend in your knees, please place that in your knees just to soften the forward bend. Breathe into your back, expand your belly, engage your thighs. And then on your next inhale, take a half lift. One foot lifts so that hand can go under, and then repeat that on the second side. Right hand, right foot, left hand, left foot. Step into the wrist creases with your toes. Round out your spine and bend your elbows away from each other. Again, maintain the bend in the knees to soften this pose, but still focusing your breath on breathing into the back, so expanding your ribs. Smooth rounding from tailbone to head of your spine. Breathe up and down the spine. And then on your next inhale, lengthen out your spine. Open up your gaze forward. Bend your knees. Take your hands out and inhale, press to stand. Samastitihi. Okay, move your feet in a little closer. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Reach your arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Uttanasana. Round out the upper back, and then inhale, lengthen your back, press the floor away. Step or shoot back plank pose to Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Press your fingers into the mat, each knuckle, the outer ring of your palm. Lift your sit bones and lengthen your spine. Your thigh bones press back, lift your kneecaps. And feel your shoulders relax a little bit. Feel your upper back open. Your chest opens through your shoulder heads. Take another big breath here. Exhale, release that breath. And then on your next inhale, look up to see where you're going to go and step or hop forward, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Inhale, push down into your feet, lift from your back, reach your arms up, and maybe even look up. Samastitihi, exhale, standing pose. Take your right arm up and behind your back, left arm out and up behind your back. So your fingers can hook, Gomukhasana, cow face. Pull your front ribs in and step back with your left foot. Turn your left heel down. Bend your right knee forward. Warrior one with cow face arms. If your left hand cannot comfortably come behind and hook, use it overhead, gently drawing your right elbow behind your head. Lift your chest here. Again, keep those ribs tacked in, but lengthen your low back. Left glute is engaged. Left hamstrings are engaged. Inhale, straighten your right leg, and then exhale forward halfway. So you're hovering over your right thigh. Squeeze the right thigh, press into the ball of your right foot, and drive your left heel down. Lengthen your back, use those back muscles, and again, zip those front ribs back in. Pressing into both feet firm. Squeeze the right thigh, pull the right kneecap up. And then inhale, release your arms. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale into plank pose. Look forward. Open your chest through your shoulders. And then exhale, lower your hips and belly button. Point your toes back, especially the big toes, and lift your chest and chin. Upward facing dog. Exhale, drop your chin, lift your hips, roll over your toes. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pinch the mat with your index fingers and thumbs. Hollow out your armpits. Press up with your hips from your fingertips up through your hips. Feel that long line. And then drive those thigh bones back and down towards the heels. Inhale, look forward, step or hop forward. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Unfold using your back muscles, reach up. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Samastitihi, exhale. All right, we'll do the second side. So now your left arm's going to come up and behind and your palm to your upper back. So if you feel like you can't hook your right hand up and underneath, then you're just going to use your right hand to help hold your left elbow. So here I'm showing you right hand on the left elbow, and then if you can, right hand out and up your back. Gomukhasana, cow face. And so one side might be a little bit more intense than the other, so it may just take some wiggling, or you may need to use a strap between your hands. Zip those front ribs in though. Press down into your feet and then step your right foot back. Left leg is strong. Left toes stay forward. Right toes angle slightly. Right heel drives back and down to the floor. And you drive the right heel back and down into the floor from your front thigh of the right leg. At the same time, using your right glutes and hamstrings to lengthen the front of your right hip more. So there's more space across the right hip. And then bend that left knee so your left hip now has a decreased angle. Straighten your left leg as you inhale and exhale, hover out halfway. Those ribs again are still drawing in and up, lengthening the front and the back of your spine equally. Keep your left elbow pointing forward and your right elbow pointing backward if you've got the hook. Drawing those inner thighs in and up even as you press out and down through the outer thighs. Good. And then inhale, release your arms, hands to the floor, and step back, downward facing dog. Exhale. All right, stretch up those sit bones, spread out your upper back. Finish out the next exhale. Inhale, look forward, move your shoulders forward, Chaturanga. Exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, rolling over your toes or tucking your toes and flipping it up into down dog. Again, lift your sit bones, broaden out your sit bones, lift your thigh bones, lift your belly, and then lengthen your spine. Take another round of breath here, expanding into your rib cage, stretching out your shoulders, but really use those hands on the floor. So feel the connection of your hands to the floor because you're going to come forward again. So inhale, look up, step or hop up and feel those hands strong on the floor. Forward bend, exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana, stretch up using your back muscles and glutes. Samastitihi, exhale, drive your heels down into the floor. And then as you inhale, you're going to reach your arms up and bend your knees, Utkatasana, fierce pose. Keep your heels driven, hands down, then straighten your knees. Exhale, Uttanasana. Take a half lift inhale and either shoot back, Chaturanga, exhale, or step back into plank and lower down. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right foot's going to step forward as your left heel grounds down on the floor at that slight angle. So again, your left leg is strong, right knee is bent forward. Lift your chest, press back with your left foot. Exhale, then place your hands down on the floor. Step back, plank pose. Open your chest as you lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Continue to pull your chest through your shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Try to get rid of the rounding of your upper back and your lower back, so lengthening out your torso. Your right heel roots down as your left foot steps forward. Bend your left knee forward. Drop those hips together so the right hip and the left hip are pretty level. And then lift your chest up to the ceiling. Resist back with that right leg as you exhale. Hands come down. Keep the right leg strong and step back with your left foot. Plank to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe in through your nose. Maybe even sigh out of your mouth if it feels good. Strong thighs. Use your triceps to straighten out your arms. Use your lats, the muscles behind your armpits, to draw the shoulders back in, but allow the shoulders, the deltoids, to soften. Look forward and step or hop up. Exhale, then forward bend. Bend your knees, Utkatasana. Inhale, reach your arms. And then press to straight leg stand, Samastitihi. Exhale. All right, from standing pose, inhale, reach your arms back up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward bend, Uttanasana. Take that half lift as you inhale. Place your palms, step or float back, Chaturanga. Exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lengthen that back, lengthen the low back especially. And then your right foot will step forward. High lunge. Inhale, reach your arms. Right knee is bent, left heel still is lifted. Reach your arms, reach your chest, but drop your hips. Okay. And then here, cross your left arm under your right arm, wrap it up. Wrap your right arm with your left arm, eagle arms. Press your elbows up and thumbs away from your face. Shift forward with your body so that you can wrap your left leg around your right leg into a standing balance posture, Garudasana, eagle pose. You can hook your left toes around behind your right calf if that's okay for your knee. Otherwise, squeeze your outer legs together and sit towards your heels. Drive that right heel down to the floor. Bend the right knee over the toes. Lift your elbows. Your core is steady, so you can breathe steady. Unwrap your arms and step back. High lunge. Inhale, reach up so you can touch down with your fingertips if that transition is shaky. Exhale, take your hands to the floor, left hand down, right hand up. Twist, open your chest, lean back a little bit into your left hand, pull your head back over your hand. All right hand back down to the floor, step back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Big inhale here. Shift forward into plank pose. Chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Breathe into your back and expand the length of your back so you have more space to breathe up and down. Left foot is going to come forward. Right heel stays lifted. You're on your right toes. Right leg is strong. So you're using your right glutes and hamstrings to stretch the front of your right hip. Using your right thigh, front thigh, to straighten out the right leg. Bend your left knee forward, lift your chest. Keep both legs equally strong. Arms come out, and then you're going to swing the right arm under the left arm here. I wrapped up wrong. Right arm under the left arm. And then lift those elbows, press the thumbs away from your face. Left thigh is strong. Shift your weight forward so you can wrap your right leg around your left leg now, but keep your left knee bent. It's really important to keep the left knee bent. Can't really wrap your left leg when it's straight. So both knees are bent. The right knee is pointing to the left knee is pointing straight forward. You can either hook your right toes or squeeze the outer legs together. Lift your elbows. You feel a nice little low back curvature opening the arch there, so it's nice and open, and your upper back is stretching. Core is steady so that you can unwrap your arms and unwrap your right leg and step back. Right hand to the floor, left arm opens up. Twist open here. So really lean back and open up your heart, a little bit of a back bend. Left hand down, step back into plank pose or downward facing dog. Exhale. And then you can move. You could have stepped right back into plank pose. That's your call. But that extra breath just gives you some time to check in. Inhale, then into plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. All right, inhale your knees to the floor. Open your knees slightly so you can sit back into child's pose, hips to heels, forehead on the mat. Rest your hands on the floor, but extend your elbows. So extend your arms, straighten out your arms. Breathe here from your belly into your back. And now you feel the rounding in your back, a lot different than downward facing dog. It's just a nice gentle rounding from equal rounding from tailbone to head. Press the tops of your ankles down, release your toes. All right, and then come up to seated here. Lift your head up over your hips. You can keep your knees out wide here. I feel like it's just easier and it's still a great stretch. Just rest your hands on your thighs. If this is too much on your knees, you take your hands to the floor and lift your hips up a little bit. All right, and then take your hands out to the floor if they're not there already. I'm going to come into a wide leg forward bend. So I'm just going to hop my feet out wide. And walk your hands back. Exhale, forward bend. You can do anything you want here with your arms if you want to open your arms out, if you just want to hang here. Press down into your feet, into the heels, the center of your heels. Press down into the pinky toe mound and the big toe mound of your foot, and then start to lift your heel and push into your hands. And this is just the setup for a handstand. You don't need to go any deeper than this. Just rolling up onto the toes and back down to the heel. But when you do come back down to the heel, center of the heel presses, and keep the pinky toe and the big toe mound of the ball of your foot connected to the floor when you do this. So I'm going to have to change my hair up here because it's getting in the way. But when we do this again, you can either lift up into tripod or you can stay with the heels lifting. But the palms need to press down so your elbows are not moving away from each other. They're pointing straight back. Imagine you're squeezing a block that is as wide as your shoulders. And then you can continue to lift the heels and lower, or you could lift the feet completely off the floor. You could stay in a wide angle, horizontal to the ground, parallel to the ground, or you could start to lift your feet up into tripod, Shirshasana 2, headstand 2. So again, the elbows are not moving away from each other. You're pushing into the heels of your hands. Your thumbs and index fingers are pinching the mat as they were in downward facing dog. Press up with your feet, squeeze your thighs, and use your glutes. And then if I'm going to move into crane pose, which I'm going to, and if you're going to, then you would take your heels to your sit bones, toes together, knees come apart, and then flex your hips and fold at your hips so your knees come down to your upper triceps. Big toes stay together, hips come towards your heels, and you lower down towards the floor with your heels and your toes. If they can touch, they can touch. If not, then you can press your head up away from the floor. You've got to kind of roll onto your forehead to do this. And then right there is the floor so your toes can touch down. So nothing bad's going to happen here. This is the easiest way, I think, to get into crane pose from tripod, because then you don't have the fear of falling onto your face. You're already there. Squat Malasana, just relax here for a few moments. And then you can walk your hands forward into downward facing dog as you're ready. If you need to stay in that garland squat for a little while, just stay there and hang. In downward facing dog, catch your breath, stretch out your legs, stretch out your arms, stretch out your back. And then again, knees to the floor. If you're still in garland, situate yourself back into child's pose. Knees apart, big toes touch, arms stretch forward. Rest your forehead on your mat. And then again, come up to seated with your knees slightly wider. A little bit of a wide knee version of Virasana. I think it's more forgiving on the knees. But if you have a block and you need to sit on a block, please still accommodate your knees. Be nice to your knees. And just pause here for a couple rounds of breath, and then we're going to set up for the next transition. Keep your left heel behind you, and your right foot now comes in front of you on the floor. And so your right arm is going to wrap around behind to maybe catch your left arm, which is in front of your shin. So your left armpit is in front of your left knee. Forehead rolls down. I'm not on the floor here at all with my sit bones, so a block is nice to have, but also you could come down to the floor if you kind of scooted the right foot over a little bit more to the side. And then I'm going to move into an arm balance here. So I'm going to take my hands back on the floor. And right here, I'm just setting up for the arm balance. Palms flat on the floor. And you're kneeling on the right knee. Left toes can be on the floor. Left knee is still up in the arm. And here's a good modification right here. Just keep that right leg back. If you can, hop your right foot forward and straighten out your right leg on the back of your right arm. Keep the left heel squeezing. And your left toes can be on the floor. Good. And then take the right foot back, right knee down. We'll come back into that same position we were just in. Left foot on the floor. And now we're going to twist to the left. So again, if you've got that block, sit on the block. Right elbow can hug or hook. And the left hand can just come behind towards the floor. So here I'm going to move my right foot out of the way and sit down on the floor like I was kind of suggesting earlier. So only if that's acceptable for your right knee. Be careful with that. You might need to stay seated on your heel. And then let's twist the other way just to see how it feels. Left elbow can hook inside your left knee, right hand behind, and twist to the right. And keep your chest open through your shoulders. And one more breath here. Inhale. When you're untwisting, crawl back over into hands and knees. Little cat-cow. Inhale, open your chest. Exhale, round your spine. And then sit back towards your heels. Again, child's pose. We're using this time here just to untwist. So if any twist is left over from that previous expression, we're going to come up to seated here for just a moment again. Or stay in child's pose a little bit longer if you need it. We'll move on to that second side here in the next moment. So the right foot now is going to come to the floor. I'm going to keep my left heel where it is. So again, you can either sit on your left heel or move over to the inside a little bit more. Wrap around the right leg with your right arm, and the left arm comes around to maybe let the right hand catch it. And so a strap is handy if you've got it. You could also keep your hands on the floor here. So if you're not binding behind with your hands, take your hands out to the floor and just gently press the front of your right shin back with the back of your right arm. So I'm going to show that version, hands out wide, and I'm just kind of stretching forward. My left sit bone is not on the floor. Okay. All right, now I'm going to set up for the arm balance. I'm going to come into my hands, my right knee on my right arm, left foot behind. Now I'm going to hop it forward. You could stay with the left foot behind, and here I'm just straightening that left leg out on the back of my left arm. If it slides down to the floor, just use your right toes to catch you. And maybe your right foot is still on the floor here. Good. And then take the left foot back. And then come to kneeling. Oh, no, that was the wrong side. So your right knee, I didn't think that was right. So you're kneeling on the left knee. Again, you're sitting down inside the left heel or on top of your left heel. Right foot back to the floor like it was previously. And then twist to the right first. Hugging or hooking with your left arm, and your right hand can come back on the floor or a block if it's handy. So breathing into the twist here, lifting your spine as you inhale and using your core on the exhale. Okay, let's go to the other side. Inhale, release that twist and twist to the left now. Right arm hooks the inner right knee. Maybe your right hand even just gently leverages the twist on the outside of your left thigh. And then your left hand is for support behind you. Press your chest through your shoulders. Okay, inhale back over into hands and knees pose. And again, little cat-cow. So inhale, open your chest. Look up. And exhale, round your spine. Pull your back up to the ceiling. Move your knees apart so you can then exhale back into child's pose. Use the bottom of that exhale to shift back child's pose. Inhale, come up and all the way down to the floor onto your thighs and hips. I'm just kind of waving into it. A little bit of an up dog. I've got my legs really wide here. I love the feeling of this wide leg up dog or cobra. My thighs are on the floor, so it's technically cobra. And then exhale, come all the way down. I'm going to move into Dhanurasana bow pose. I'm keeping my legs pretty far apart, and there's nothing wrong with that. So take them apart as far as you need to make space for your back. Lift your arms with your feet. Lift your chin, lift your chest. Open up the front of your body here. Feel the front shoulders stretch. One more breath if you can. And then exhale. Down you go. I'm going to come right up into plank for side plank, kind of to feel that core, really feel the core engage as a kind of recovery for the back bend. Right hand, right foot, or right hand, right knee. But drive the right hip down and lift the outer right ankle up so it's a straight side plank, not a rainbow. Look up to your left hand. Lengthen out the back of your neck. Okay, another breath here, and then right over into plank pose. Pause between sides, maybe take a child's pose between sides, and when you're ready, left hand, left knee, or left hand, outer left foot, the outer left ankle lifts, the left hip pushes down. Lengthen your left side, your waist gets longer. Look up to your right hand. Take another breath here. Feel back of your head, back of your hips, back of your heels strong and in line. And then exhale over into plank pose. Inhale here and then bend your elbows. Exhale, chaturanga. Open up into your back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, drop your chin, lift your hips. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Big breath here. Smooth it out. Smooth out your torso. Smooth out your legs. Come down to your knees with your next inhale. And then come back to sit on the floor behind your feet with your legs out in front of you. Forward fold over your legs. Paschimottanasana. You could separate your legs a little farther apart to make some more space in the backs of your legs to move. So make it comfortable. Breathe into your back here. Let your back relax. Let your forehead even rest if you're going to maybe pillow your head on your fists or your elbows or a block. Or your forearms, rather, or a block. Right, and then inhale, half lift. Come all the way up then, pulling from your back. Take your hands behind you for upward facing plank pose. And you can stick with upward tabletop. You could keep your knees bent. And then press your shoulders back over your wrists if you're straightening out your legs. Try to drop your hips a little bit. There we go. And then point those toes down. Lift your thighs. You can turn your toes out to the side if you need. Lift your back, lift your glutes, pull your belly in. There we go. And then lower back down to the floor. All right, we're going to move on to the back. So you can come seated here for just a moment if you need to recover from that. Scooch to the front of your mat and then roll down nice and slow. Bridge pose. So take your heels up towards your sit bones. Have your feet a little bit wider and your toes turned out a little bit if you know that your back doesn't love back bends. So make more space in your back instead of crunching it up. And then when you're ready, you're going to push down into the floor with your heels and your shoulders to lift your hips up. I like to reach down and catch my ankles. You do not need to do this. You can simply bend your elbows and point your fingers to the ceiling. That gives you more leverage from the humerus bone on either side of your body to push your chest up, to push your hips up. And so you're trying to lift your thigh bones and stretch your chest towards your chin. So that's kind of the trajectory. You're pushing forward with your heels to press your hips back and your thighs up and your chest back towards your chin. And keep moving down with the shoulders. So opening the shoulders, but pushing down to the floor. I'm going to transition into a little bit of a setup here for like a version of shoulder stand. So hands are under my hips, legs are out straight. Another version of bridge pose. Good. And then walk your feet back in, just there for a few moments to get those wrists stronger. Now from here, I'm going to kick up into shoulder stand. So if you want to come into shoulder stand, lying down on the floor, take your arms out, come into a reclining position, and use some rocking momentum to move up into shoulder stand. Your shoulders and your elbows are supporting your weight. Your head is just on the floor and your neck is long. Put the weight of your back into your palms, so let your ribs fall into your hands and let your feet come back over your hips. Press up with your feet, squeeze your thighs and your glutes. And then after a few moments here, hinge at the hips and let your toes come overhead into plow pose. You can straighten your arms out behind, or you can keep your hands on your back. If it doesn't feel like your feet can hit the floor, if you have a chair close by or something that you can put your feet on, if you can move over to a couch, you could let your feet come onto the couch. Keep pressing into the floor though with your shoulders and your upper arm bones. And then I like to add in my variation of quiet pose. It's knees to my forehead. It just feels better than knees around the ears, but you're welcome to take either one or skip them. And then as I come out of this, palms on the floor, exhale, roll down. And right away I lift my chin, open my chest, and then feet to the floor. And you can just let your heart open back up here if you open your arms out to the side or if you let your head roll side to side. Just stay here for a few moments, letting the rounding in your back unround. And then fish pose, Matsyasana, a little version here that I like to settle up in. It's like bridge pose, but I'm coming to the top of my head. And you can stick with fish pose, hips on the floor, head on the floor right here. This is fish Matsyasana. Okay. And then this is also a really good transition to set up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. And so from fish pose here with my feet on the floor, butt on the floor, head on the floor, I'm going to lift my hips back up. And then I'm going to take my palms and flip them back up on the floor. So here I'm just playing with some different variations. Do what you need. This may look like a bad idea to you, so don't do it if it does. Hands on the floor here for Urdhva Dhanurasana, pressing back over my wrist with my shoulders, letting the head relax. I like to draw my chin in just for more, I feel like I get a bigger stretch out of that. And so just feel where your head should be. I like to have, I think it's a good idea to have ears between arms, but do what feels good to you. Head back to the floor, bend your elbows, lower back down, and just let your hips rest on the floor for a moment. And here again, you can move your neck side to side, your head side to side, massaging the back of your head and releasing your neck. So in that upward wheel pose, what I was trying to say and wasn't saying it very gracefully was just play with where your head is going. So little movements forward and back, because you never know the sweet spot for you until you experiment and explore the movement. All right, supine bound angle stretch. So take your hands to your feet, knees apart, and resist hands and feet, shoulders back down towards the floor, knees away from your shoulders. Spine tall, neck soft, face soft. Head on the floor. This is a wonderful tractioning coming out of that back bend. Take as long as you'd like here. I'm going to add in happy baby. So now I take my feet apart up to the ceiling, but knees still bent. Now I'm pulling my knees down towards the floor on either side of my ribs. And you can straighten out legs here. You can have one leg straight, one knee bent. Have some fun. Again, feel the movement. Knees into your chest here, Apanasana when you're ready. When relieving pose, I'm going to set up for a twist. And when you move into your twist, any variation that really makes sense to your body, again, how are you going to know what works for your body if you don't explore some movement and play with it and just feel the movement in your body and how your body responds to it? So here, if you want the top legs straight, or if you want the legs wrapped up, or if you need your knees to come down or up higher, right arm anchors out to the side, open your chest, look off to either side, whichever feels better for you. But one thing is for sure, that breath, you're focusing on it. It's constant, moving from your belly in and up. And then come back over to your back, knees to chest. Give yourself a little hug, Apanasana. And then off to the second side twist. Knees to the right. Let that left arm anchor you. Let your hips go where they need to go. Let your knees go where they need to go. One side might be different. Just feeling some softness in this pose and some surrender in this posture. Giving your spine a moment to recover from all the work it did. And again, focusing on that breath. So breathing from your belly in and up your spine. Noticing in the twist how the breath moves differently than, standing pose. Noticing how the breath moves differently in every posture. It's really amazing. But it's still moving. And it always somehow finds a different place to move to and expand and bring in energy. Roll back over onto your back. Hug your knees in. Give yourself a nice squeeze. And then you can squeeze everything into a tight little ball. Let your face squeeze up your arms, your shoulders, your glutes, your feet, your knees. And then exhale, release out. Open up. Take up as much space as you need here. Scooch out your feet. Soften your feet. Let your arms fall into a comfortable position for you. Taking a moment here in a restful position to scan your body. Notice your face, your jaw. Let your cheeks soften. Let your tongue relax and your jaw ungrip. Feel your neck and your throat soft. Swallowing to release any tension and breathing through your nose into your throat. Soften your shoulders and your arms, your hands, your fingers. Feel the space in your spine, the breath moving in and up, your ribs relaxed, your core soft. Your hips are supported by the floor, the glutes are not working, your hips are heavy and open and spacious. Your thighs are soft and strong and heavy. At the same time that they're strong, they're soft. And they're really being held by the floor here. Let your knees soften. Let your thighs and your knees and your calves all soften from the top down, lengthening out through your feet without actively lengthening. So feel that strength that exists in your body in this peaceful moment without working, without proving any strength. Just feel it. Your toes are relaxed, and even the spaces between your toes are soft and relaxed. And breathe up and down your body. Imagine your breath could move in through your toes and your fingers. Breathing into your heart center. Feeling here your goals and your hopes and your desires here for your practice. And let them become a true thing. So as you stretch out your legs and your arms, use that breath, come up to seated, and just take a moment here to bow to that true thing in your heart. I am happy. I am peace. I am strong. And tell yourself, thank you and good job.